Ranier Zittelmann, good morning.
Good morning.
What's the situation about capitalism system in this moment, and what's the problems that we could affront in the short term?
I think capitalism is a great story. A lot of people, they have negative associations with capitalism, but I don't really understand why. Look at one thing. 200 years ago, before capitalism, 90% of the worldwide population lived in extreme poverty. Today, the rate is less than 10%. And the most important message, half of this reduction happened over the last decades. And even in the Corona crisis, you saw that capitalism works. The states didn't work well. In a lot of countries, we had very inefficient ways to fight against coronavirus, but capitalism worked. We have the vaccines now, maybe not enough, but we have a lot of different vaccines. We have masks, we have tests, we have everything that we need, and produced by this capitalist companies.
What the capitalism keys about to exit this crisis?
Can you repeat the question, please? And can you see me?
Yes. What's the capitalism main points to exit this crisis together with the capitalism and the global economy?
I think the only way to solve the problem is capitalism, because capitalism is the only system that really works everywhere in the world. I know a lot of people have very bad associations with capitalism, but look, what is the alternative? A planned economy could never in history solve any problem. And so it will, with planned economy, you can't solve problems like this crisis that we have now. This worked never in history. Only free market forces was the only thing that always worked. And you see it now, like I mentioned before. We have these vaccines, and these are a product of capitalism, of market economy.
If we compare capitalism and other systems like Chinese system as the communist system, what's the main difference between this crisis in both system, capitalism versus communist system, when they are looking for different ways to exit this crisis? What's the best picture of both systems?
China is not a communist country. It's true, it's a dictatorship when it comes to politics, but in the economy, it's much more capitalist than a lot of people thought. This is the success story of China in the last 40 years, that they introduced private property and market forces. You know, 40 years ago in China, we had 88% of the people living in extreme poverty. Today, it's less than 1%. But it is not because of the state. I have been in Beijing and I spoke with one of the leading economists, Zhang Weiying, and he told me all of our success in the economy was not because of the state, but in spite of the state. And what is dealing with the Corona crisis? Of course, I think the Chinese government did it more efficient than a lot of European countries. But okay, this has nothing to do with the economic system, but it has something to do that in a dictatorship, sometimes in a short time, you can solve problems maybe easier. But look, for example, other Asian countries like South Korea, for example, or like Taiwan. They are both democracies and both capitalism, and they solved problems much better than a lot of European countries or the United States. So you see, it has nothing to do with capitalism. In parts, it's a question of the mentality that is in the Asian people are more disciplined than we are here.
Capitalism is more efficiency if you compare with another systems, when we are fighting against the poverty?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of there were some polls, and they asked people whether poverty increased or decreased in the last decades. And the majority of the people, they think that we have more poverty today than we had some decades ago. But this is absolutely wrong. Poverty decreased so much in the last decades than never before in history. I recommend to everyone the great book of Steven Pinker, Enlightenment Now. And he has a lot of facts in this book. I have also some facts in my book about the decreasing of poverty. But people don't know it. And this is the real problem. You see it if you have polls everywhere in the world. The people, if you ask them, they should guess or estimate about the development of poverty. Most people think that poverty increased, but this is wrong. According to the official data of World Bank, poverty not only decreased, so poverty fall, but it fall more than ever before in history of mankind. This is good news.
Daniel Zitterman, thank you for having this time with us in Negocios Televisión. Good day, good business.
Thank you very much.